In this video, we'll show you how to replace the front control arm on your Subaru Baja. This is located in the front of the vehicle and behind the wheel. Let's get started. With the vehicle raised and supported, we can remove our lug nuts with a 19mm. If you can't remove the wheel, you can thread a lug nut back on halfway. And I'm going to use a dead blow hammer on the back side of the tire, trying not to strike the rim. And we can remove the wheel. On the outer part of the control arm, we need to fold the ears of the cotter pin outwards. To do that, I'm using a set of side cutters here. We'll get those as flat as we can and then try to pull them through from the other side. Now we can grab the cotter pin from the other side. Try to use the side cutters to pull that out, pry it. If the cotter pin is rusted in and stuck, we'll just take either side and fold them down. With the cotter pin folded down on both sides, you can start to get your 19mm socket over that. With the cotter pin folded down and the socket over it, it'll simply shear the cotter pin off, and then we'll need to replace it. We can remove the lower bolt holding in our sway bar link with a 12mm. To get the ball joint stud to pop out of the control arm, I'm going to pry down on this with a pry bar and tap gently on the end with a hammer. You want to be careful not to fold in too much of the end of the control arm here and deform it. We can remove the forward inner bolt for the control arm with a 17mm. We'll leave that bolt in for now while we remove the two in the rear. We can remove the two rearward control arm bolts with our 19mm. In our case, the bolt in the front is a little bit stuck in the old bushing. Just going to use a punch that's smaller than the end. That way I don't mushroom it in and ruin the threads. We can remove our control arm. We can start to get our control arm lined up. We'll get our front bolt in. We'll start to get the control arm lined up. I'm using a set of pliers to get the sway bar link to line up. We get the nut for the ball joint started on. We can snug that down. And we can torque the ball joint nut to 29 foot-pounds. We can get our cotter pin installed. We'll fold the ears around the nut. And that'll help keep that from spinning off. We can get our sway bar link lined up with the control arm. Get the bolt in. And we'll get the nut started on. And we can torque that to 33 foot-pounds. We get our two rearward bolts started in. We can go ahead and snug those up. And we can torque these to 74 foot-pounds. Now we can get the nut onto the bolt on the front portion of the control arm. Get that started on. We'll snug that up. And we can torque this to 71 foot-pounds. Line up the lug studs with the holes in the wheel. I like to get the first lug nut threaded all the way in, and that'll hold the wheel on while I get the rest of the lug nuts threaded on. We can snug these down. Now we can torque these to 80 foot-pounds in a star pattern. It's possible you could need an alignment after you install the control arm. Take the vehicle for a road test. If the steering wheel is off or it pulls in either direction, go ahead and take it down to your local service station and get an alignment performed. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.